Good evening, all. Okay, any questions? No, fine. Let us, start with a session. Today's, main topic is about JSP, especially introduction. And after the introduction, 1 minute. Yes. Okay. Right. So the main contents, main topics in JSP, especially what we are going to discuss today, that's about introduction about JSP and all right, so life cycle of JSP, and then it is about implicit objects. Okay, so three main contents we are going to discuss. So those are introduction part of JSP and life cycle, JSP life cycle, and then the third one is about implicit objects. Okay, right. So what is JSP? What JSP stands for? No one responded. Fine. So JSP, let me give you the contents. So these are the contents, overall the contents, what we are going to learn in JSP. Okay, so we have introduction, lifecycle, scripting elements, and then it is implicit objects. Yes, I forgot about scripting elements, fine. And directives and then action elements. Okay, let us, move ahead. So what is JSP stands for? It's not JavaScript. So JSP stands for Java Server Pages, right? Java Server Pages. So then what is the need of this, JSP? Right? What is the need of it? Why do we need it? Of course, JSP stands for Java Server Pages, right? And this JSP is especially used for developing dynamic web pages, or yes, web application as well. We can, we can say it isn't for web application development. We can use this Java Server Pages. Okay, so we can say, I can say this JSP is an extension of servlet technology, nothing else, So what we have learned, in previous sessions, that is servlet. So that servlet part, extension part itself is in JSP. Okay, right, right. So mainly used for creating dynamic web content or dynamic web pages. Right. So let's move ahead. Yes, JSP stands for Java Server Pages, and it's a server-side technology. So even Servlet is also technology, right? So basically, what this, what the functionality of these technologies, server-side technologies, just extends. These technologies extends the functionality of server, right? Yes, of course, JSP. So JSP technology is mainly used for creating web applications, just like, a servlet technology. And we can say this is an advanced, advanced version of servlet. And of course, here we in JSP will use, we will use more HTML code. Okay. So yes, of course, that's what here, we mentioned here. So in JSP, tags are used, tags are used to insert code into HTML pages. Okay, so which means we use more HTML tags or tags, okay, less Java code. So this point is very important. Okay, so we use less Java code and more HTML elements or tags. Okay, right. Right, so it is a web-based technology, and of course it helps to create dynamic and platform independent web pages. Okay, so Basically, the purpose of JSP, Java Server Pages, mainly used for creating dynamic web pages. And of course, it's a advanced, part of servlet. Nothing more. So what we have learned, that same, but bit different. Okay. So bit different how you create pages and how you perform, how you write the code. So bit it is different. Okay. Apart from that, everything is same. Right. So let's continue with the advantages. So of course, it's easy to maintain. Okay. And one more thing I forgot to say here, right? So whenever we create a JSP pages, yes, we must, we must save these pages with a .jsp extension. So basically we create a HTML files with .html, right? Same way, for JSP, we must have, or we must pass .jsp extension whenever we create a JSP pages. Okay, right. So the benefits or advantages of JSP. Of course, JSP is easy to maintain and no need of recompilation or redeployment of this, JSP pages, unlike servlets. So servlets, what we have to do every time we have to restart the server, right? Whenever you run application, whenever you deploy application, server gets restarted. But here in JSP, we don't need to do that. Okay, right. Right. So JSP has, access to the entire Java API. So which means, JSP pages can use, it can use entire, any type of Java APIs like, LAN package, util package, IO package. So there are many more packages, right? So we can have, those APIs in JSP as well. Okay. Right. So this is an extension, extended version of servlet, and coding is easy. Okay. And of course, it reduces the length of the code. So you people will come to know how, how practically these are, existing or be used. Right. And connection with the database is also easy. Okay. And the last, the next one is about portable, powerful, and it's a flexible and easy to maintain, which I mentioned earlier, right? Okay, I mentioned twice, fine. Okay, so these are the benefits of, or advantages of JSP. The main things which, you people needs to remember that it's easy to maintain. And of course, code is less, because you don't need to write entire thing, like creating objects for each interface or each class. So you don't need to do that. Okay, so a container or JSP container or web container gives those. Okay, and one more important thing, that is redeployment. So we don't need to recompile or redeploy the application. So this is one very important thing about JSP. Okay, any queries in this introduction part of, JSP? So yes, it's used for creating dynamic web applications, and it uses more HTML code, less Java code, right? Actually, writing code is also easy when we compare with, other technologies. Okay, so let's move ahead with JSP Lifecycle. Okay, JSP Lifecycle. We have, learned servlet lifecycle. Am I right? So now we'll see with, JSP lifecycle. There is nothing more difference, but yes, we'll find, major differences with the servlets and for the JSP. Okay, so please observe this architecture. Okay, so when client sends a request through JSP, and here we can have web container, or we can say servlet container, because as I mentioned earlier, so it's a extension part of, servlet. Am I right? So when we say it as an extension part, obviously, the container which belongs to servlet will be available or, accessible for this JSP as well, right? So yes, web server, in web server, whenever it accepts a request, obviously, it forwards, that request will be forwarded to web container or solid container. So here, especially in JSP, there is a concept of JSP parser or Jasper. What is the use of this Jasper? Yes, any idea about Jasper? So here, Jasper acts as a kind of converter. Okay. So this Jasper converts, this .jsp file to .java file. Okay. So here you guys can observe conversion, or we can say translation. Okay. So who is taking care of that? That is, taken care by this Jasper. And now, see here, for the first request, a JPA engine called Jasper. As I said, converter, a kind of converter. So this is a JPA engine, JSP engine. Okay, so which is available with a container and it translates. So this Jasper translates this requested JSP, to its equivalent servlet class. That is dot Java. Obviously servlet class will be with having extension as a dot Java, right? And then the container loads servlet class, and it instantiates and it initializes by invoking JSP init method. Okay, so we have methods for this lifecycle, so it calls those lifecycle, and it proceeds the rest of the thing. Okay, so here the main purpose of this Jasper engine, which is basically used for converting .jsp to Java file. So the .java file is a solid class, fine, and that will be compiled, and then dot class file will be generated. So this is a internal part. So externally we cannot see these things, but yes, if you want to run your application through your right, so HTML files, you can do that, but basically always we prefer to use any specific ID, as we're using we are using Eclipse here. Okay, right. So after compilation, sorry, first step, let me give this where is it? No numbers here, fine. So let me give here, this is the first request, and here we have a second request, so this is the second request, which will be, it's not second request, I'm sorry. So this is a first request, whenever we send a request, that will be forwarded or accepted by this Jasper, and this Jasper will be redirected, or it translates this Java file to .java file. Okay, so this is a third step, fine. This is a third step. Okay, and here, so what we have, one more, that obviously if it is a Java file, there should be a compilation, right? And this is the fourth step. After this .java file, then obviously .java file will gets executed, which means object of that JSP, or we can say the methods of this particular yes, methods, depending on the logic which we have written. So initialization method will be called, right? And then the service, depending on the logic which we have written, and then the destroy method. Okay, so the life cycle. Okay, so first step, what we have to remember that, so it gets translated, remember. Okay, so it will translate. After translation, what happens? It get compiled, right? Initialization, instantiation, initialization, then it goes to, you know, providing service. Okay, so this is what, you know, the steps of, or we can say JSP lifecycle. 1 minute, let me mute. Okay, right, so yes, you know, so the following phases are, you know, JSP lifecycle phases. So the first state, or you know, the first phase is translation of JSP page. Okay, so translation of JSP pages to its servlet pages. Okay, so when it converts .jsp file to .class file, then it goes to compilation, you know, compilation of that particular JSP, you know, as is renamed as in servlet, right? So then, you know, after compilation, then it goes to load the class. Okay, which are the class which we have created, it loads that class. And you know, obviously after loading there should be instantiation, means for that particular class object will be instantiated, and if object instantiated, then you know, that particular object must be initialized. Okay, must be initialized with its JSP init method, and it gets, you know, processed. Okay, so processed in the sense JSP service, forgot to, you know, mention here in the initialization part. So JSP init method will be called. Okay, and then providing or processing request, JSP service method will be called, and then we have a destroy method where once, you know, the service of that JSP page is done, then it goes to that particular page, goes to, you know, goes out of the scope. Hope, you know, the life cycle of JSP is clear. Translation, this state is, you know, stages are very important. Okay, right, so in translation, of course, you know, the JSP file will be converted to .java file, and that Java file will get, you know, compiled. After compilation, class loader, you know, there is a concept called class loader. Okay, the class loader loads this particular, you know, particular compiled class, and then it gets instantiated, and you know, it calls a method called init method, JSP init. This is especially for the initialization. Okay, and right, so then it goes to, you know, processing a particular request, which means, you know, service which we implement, and then we have a destroy method. Okay, so basically when the page or, you know, application goes out of the scope, not application, sorry, the particular JSP page, then a destroy method gets called. Okay, so let's move. Let me create one simple example for, you know, creating JSP page. So let me, I forgot to open this Eclipse. So here, as we created, you know, what is it? Let me take new one only as JSP. Okay, so JSP. I'm creating new workspace especially for the JSP. Okay. So as usual, you know, we have to create dynamic web project. So let's create, you know, dynamic web project. Right. So here, JSP. Okay. So let's create a next and so if required, for now actually we don't require, but still I'll generate uh, deployment descriptor where we provide configuration related to our servlets, right? So project is created, and now let's go to, so here src, always src to create dot java files, but we are not we are not touching this part. And here let's go to web content. As we are aware, web content, right click on the web content and go to new, select new, and jsp file. Okay, so here in the JSP file, let me pass file name as a first JSP. And I don't need to give extension because by default it is a dot sorry, yes, by default it is a JSP page. So let's click on JSP page, right? So these are all the things will be included inside this JSP page. Right. So actually, it is giving error. Okay, why? Because so this is actually extension part of servlet. So we must include servlet jar. Okay, or else it will not allow us to, right? So you people can observe here the super class Java X servlet HTTP dot HTTP servlet was not found on this build path. Okay, it says this particular jar file is not fine, fine. So what we need to do, so we have to go to application, I mean the project, right click on that and let's go to build path and click here. So select libraries and select add external jars to add our jar file, that is servlet jar. So let's click on, right. Hope it is clear, guys. This is how we create JSP pages, okay, in our dynamic web project. Okay, any queries on this? Queries must be related to the topic. Okay, if no queries, let's continue. So here this example I'm taking it for you know JSP Lifecycle by calling all three methods. Okay, so here first method. So actually what we have to do here now, okay, just we have to observe the console because I'm not going to write anything to browser. Okay, so let me write something here. H2 JSP Lifecycle method. Okay, and so I'll mention break as well. And the break, um, I'll mention it as an observe console. Okay, observe console to understand life cycle, understand JSP life cycle. Okay, so now let's get into the next line. In the next line, so what we have to, so I'm gonna write the code. Later I'll explain you few things. Right. Where is this? So here exclamatory mark. So I'm defining method. Okay. So I'm defining method as in public void void. So nothing is default. So JSP init. Okay. So here in this, yes. What was it? Oh, 1 second. Right. So public void JSP init. Okay, in this init method. So I'm not writing much. Why is this? JSP init. This is uppercase. No. Actually, it is not accepting. I don't know why. JSP init. So here with the init, so we can write system dot out dot println. So in println init. So okay, because of this, right? Fine then. So I'll continue one more method here, destroy. So I'm just calling destroy here, not service method. Okay. Public void JSP destroy. Okay. Destroy. And here in the destroy, system dot out dot println. Okay. And here in this, I'm writing here as a destroy. Okay, I'm not writing anything. So I'll explain you this tags, after few minutes. But yes, we can describe or we can provide lifecycle methods. Okay, so now I'm going to take one more, just to print some statements as a service. Okay, so right. So let's go to. So please observe here it is a Java code. Okay. So for now I'm using Java code and later you'll find the differences. Okay. So system dot out dot println. So in this, println, what we can write here, I'm going to write it as a service. Okay. And again, so please observe out dot println. Let's see. Let me see. This is the test for, destroy. Okay. So now I just implemented, the methods. So 2 methods directly, and yes, one is for server. Okay. This is actually a method. So these are the statements. So now right click on this editor, and before execution or for deployment, let me explain this JSP page. So whenever we create a JSP pages, always it will be started with a page directive. Okay, page directive. What is the need of this page directive? Because it describes current page information. Okay, it describes about that particular page. So what here, what is the description here? It is describing which language it is using and which type of content type it is using, and what are the standard character set it's using, and encoding type. So even we have many more. So as I mentioned, we'll discuss in the next you know next classes, in the sense, if I'll get time, I'll discuss today about these directives, if not in the next session. Okay, all right. So let me deploy this. And always, as I mentioned, it uses more HTML code and less Java code, but for now, as I implemented life cycle, so I've taken little more code. Okay, so but you people can observe HTML tag, header tag, and title. So body, always we pass the required content inside this body tag. Fine. So now let me deploy this. Apache. It is 8.0. So let me select the path. Okay. So click on next and set, check everything and click on finish. It's right. It's taking, server adapter list refreshment. So let's wait for, few minutes. Someone mentioned explain again, Harika. Which one to explain? Harika? Okay. So as I mentioned, so it says, I have returned in H2 tag. So JSP Lifecycle along with the observe console to understand. So yes, if people can observe here init and service. So actually it is not displaying destroy method, as I mentioned even in servlets. Yes, so destroy method won't be displayed, because before when it calls this method, so that particular component goes out of the scope, right? Fine. So this is just very simple example for JSP and its life cycle. So I'll just show you, without having this life cycle, if I want to print something to a browser, how we can do this. Display. Let's say it doesn't. Hello. Okay, so this is my JSP page. So assume that, basically if you want to print something to the console, we use system.out.println, right? And if you want to print some, any content, any data to the browser, in servlet, what we were taking, we were creating print writer object, right? Print writer, and its reference equals to response dot get writer. But here we are not going to do all those things. Okay, so we'll get predefined objects, or we can say implicit objects. So we can go get those objects and we can print the required data to the browser. Okay, so for that, even directly you cannot. So as like print writer and its instance, so it'll not accept. So how do we print the data to the browser? So that's with the help of scriptlet. Okay, so we have a concept of scriptlet. So if we want to print something to the browser, then we must use this scriptlet. So inside the scriptlet, right? So basically the scriptlet tags are used for printing Java code. Okay, so that particular tags allows Java code. If you want, it's not only for the printing. If you want to perform any kind of task. Okay, so here out dot print, and here let me write hello all, welcome to JSP class. Okay, so that's it. And yes, we have to end this with a semicolon. And right click on the editor and let's run and run as. So hope you all can see. So this is how we can print any kind of data to the browser. If you want to print data to the console, then obviously we have to use system.out.println. Okay, so hope it is clear about creating JSP pages. Now let's go ahead with the scripting elements. Okay, so scripting elements, basically in JSP, scripting elements are used for writing Java code inside JSP, JSP scriptlet tags, I can say. Okay, so there are what is the need of the scriptlet tags? So just to insert Java code in a JSP page. Okay, so there are three types of JSP yes, scripting elements. Those are scriptlet tag, expression tag, and declaration tags. Okay, so these are the three types. These are the three types which we have. Okay, right. So we can use these three types for different usages. Okay, so we'll see one by one. So the first one is scriptlet tag. Okay, scriptlet tag, as I mentioned, so basically it's used for inserting Java code, especially for the printing. Okay, right. So a scriptlet tag is used to execute Java source code in JSP. So yes, syntax. So we use a Angular braces with a percentage symbol, and we can insert the code. So here you guys can observe, the one which I've run. So this example is for your scriptlet tag. Any queries? So even actually we can get it from the user. This username we can get it. So as we have seen in the previous activities. So let me take username from the user and let's print. Okay. So let me take this as login page. Let me create a folder. Okay, this is for scriptlet. And login. Yes, login. I'll pass inside the scriptlet folder. Why? I guess inside web banner. Okay, so let's move ahead. And here in this, so please observe login form, as we have we are familiar with login form, right? So form action will be, let's say welcome, let's say welcome file dot JSP, but still I have not created yet welcome, or first to solid anything. And here input type equals to, so here it is text, text, and name equals to username, and this, and break. So here let me mention it as a name. Okay, and then we can have for password also can have. Let's take it password, input type equals to password, and submit, so, and name equals to PSW. Okay, so again break, and then the final one, so input type is submit, and right, so value should be either can log in, or let me take it as in submit only. Okay, so now let me create a JSP file inside Scriptlet only. I'm creating. Okay, so here JSP file, let's take I'm taking it as in Scriptlet file. Okay, so now inside the Scriptlet file, so what we have to do, we have to accept, we have to request that. So how do we request? So I'm taking scripting elements. So I'm passing comment as well here. Inside scripting element, spelling mistakes. So scripting elements, or getting user values. Okay, so please observe how we are taking, how we are getting from the user. So we are going to use this scripting element, I mean Scriptlet tag. Here inside Scriptlet tag, let me mention here Scriptlet tag, not sorry, not element. Okay, Scriptlet tag, and here, so this is about angular braces. So this is a syntax, actually this is a syntax, angular braces with a percentage symbol. Okay, and here, so as we are familiar, string name equals to request, sorry, not double quotes, request dot get parameter. Okay, and here in the get parameter, so we have to mention the property name, so as u name, and here inside in u name, so yes, sorry, inside this get parameter method we have to pass that particular user property. Fine, and now, okay, so how do we print this to the browser? So we are going to use out.println. Sorry, it's a print. Okay, ln is not needed. Right, so let's get into the right, so here we have to we can write anything, welcome Welcome to JSP classes. Okay, along with the username. So I'm gonna print plus name. So this variable, string variable I'm passing here. Okay, so now let's go to the login page. Login page only, na? Yes. So actually I have to change, actually I have to change this file. So this file name as Scriptlet. Scriptlet. So scriptlet file.jsp, right? And now let's run this. And click on OK. 404 error. Because I guess it's not finding that file. Correct only now. So let me refresh this. Okay, so fine, it's working because I passed this scriptlet inside web enough, but it was not reached. Okay, so what is it? Right. So name and password. So we can mention here. We can pass username. There is no validations, nothing. So just to show you how scriptlet tags are going to be used. Okay. Right. So yes, the name is Neha and some password. So click on submit. So hope you guys can see, the value or the username it's accepting with the help of scriptlet. Where is it? Right. So with the help of scriptlet element and along that we are printing with the help of .print method. Hope it is clear, guys. So this is about your scriptlet tag. And now we'll move ahead with, the next one is expression. Okay, expression. So please observe here inside the scriptlet tag, we are writing, to perform any kind of task. So we are passing Java code. Okay, so now please observe, expression. Okay, expression. Is my screen is visible, guys? One second. So due to heavy raining, so there might be, there might be a disconnect. So please accept this. Fine. So let's move ahead with the expression. So there's nothing much here. So please observe JSP page. And this is expression. So here in the expression, so let's go to, first I'm taking scriptlet. Okay, first let me pass the comment. So you people can observe the comment. So this is, this comment is same as HTML, right? Scriptlet tag for scriptlet tag for getting value from user. Okay. So actually, I have, anyhow, we have login page, right? So I'll copy this and I'll paste inside this expression. Okay. So now let's go to that login page. Okay, so here as it is, but I'm changing this file name as expression.jsp. Expression.jsp. Okay, so in this expression.jsp file, let's move to that file and right. So as I mentioned, I'm going to use scriptlet. So scriptlet, that is string name equals to request dot get parameter, and parameter name is uname. Okay. So, and what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to print that variable. Okay. So print that name with the help of expression. So expression is as usual, but here we are going to use equal symbol. Okay. So now I'm going to print name. And you can find the difference. Okay, so you can find the difference. That's out.print out.print. So here what I'm doing, I'm just writing, I'm writing it as an what I'm trying to do here, right? Print username, okay, with Java code. Okay, so here expression expression syntax with without Java code. Okay, so this is without Java code. Fine. And now let me deploy this. Okay, let me deploy this and yes, run on server and write. It is printing. Okay, null, because 1 second. Right, so it's printing null. Oh, sorry guys, why it is happening? Okay, so the reason, because the reason is I'm not executing by this login page, right? That is the reason. So let me use a break statement somewhere here. Plus name. So I'm trying to use come out of this and let me take break. Okay. So now go to login page and let me change. Yes, already it is changed. So let's go to deploy. So now let me take it as a Okay, so the first one here, it displays username with Java code, right? And expressions, so expressions are printing without Java code, right? So this is the difference between your, what it is, scriptlet tag and for the expression. Any queries on this? If no queries, so let us, continue with one more, that is declaration. Okay. Fine. So as name, as name suggests, as in declaration, let me create a folder as a declaration. Okay. So declaration, and here in the declaration part, let me create one JSP file as declaration. Okay. So basically this, declaration is used for declaring fields, I mean variables and methods. Okay, so we can, or it allows us to create a variables and methods. Okay, so now let me define one variable and so let me show you an example for declaring variables and printing data. Okay, so for that syntax is, let me take first comment. So let me define declaration syntax, declarations and example. Okay, so now here about syntax. So Angular braces with that percentage symbol and here exclamatory mark. And please observe here, I'm gonna define int. So number equals to some value. Okay, so if you want to define any other variables, yes, you can go ahead with that string. So name equals to ExcelR. Okay, so now now to print these values, so to print these values, so we must use our scriptlet tags. So observe, I'll try to print here itself. Okay, I'll try to print here. Please observe. What is this? Out dot println. Sorry, it's print. So what it says, let me print it as a name. Okay, so please observe what it says. So it says, some error message as in multiple like annotations found, or the braces, so on, so etc. Right? So printing data or any value in declaration won't be allowed. Right? It won't allowed in declaration because we can only declare variables and methods inside declaration tag. Okay, so for printing again, I'm using scripting element. Right. Printing values, which is declared in declaration tag. Okay, so now come inside here, come to here. Actually, we can use expression to print it directly. Okay, so we can use the expressions for that. So let me use a equal. So let me mention here, let me mention it as an out.print. So here inside this, what I should mention here. Actually, this is not allowed now. Okay, so I'm printing name. Okay, so first number, I'm gonna print number, and yes, it should be ended with semicolon. Number. Why is this? Okay, spelling mistake here. Okay, so let's try with semicolon. So comma. Let me check with name whether it works or not, right? So this is how we can print multiple variables, multiple values and expression. Okay, because of multiple expressions, these are not same type. Let's see, due to multiple values, it's rising exception. Let's try with single one and we'll see. All right, so it's working with our single value. I mean, single variable. Okay. So this is printing values. Okay. In expression tag. Okay. So which is declared. Now I'm taking, now I'm taking Scriptlet. Okay. So here our dot print using. Okay. So I'm going to mention value of number and name. Okay, so plus, and let's come here. So number, now I'm going to mention number again, plus, and number, and what is it, name, and end with semicolon. So if you want to take, suppose if you want to take multiple output, out dot println, you can take it. Okay, right? So now let me print. Everything is printing in single line, so better to use break statements. Okay, so give me a minute. Let me check the chat. It's not working. Okay, let it take time. Fine. So this is about your scripting elements. Okay, so any queries on this scripting elements? If no questions, so we'll move ahead with implicit objects. Okay, so we have a concept of implicit objects. One more thing, let me give you one simple example for this, all in the sense, this scripting elements and all, just to find kind of, value. So by using this scriptlet or can be a, expressions. It's mainly not with expression, it's mainly with the declaration. So because I'm going to take methods. Okay, so now let me create one simple example. So this is for declaration actually. So what I'll do, I'll take one function. Okay, so folder name itself is an functions in declare. Yes, so inside declaration tag. Okay, so right, so right click on this folder and create one JSP file. And yes, let me take it as an home page. Fine. And in home page, yes, inside a body inside body tag. So what I'm going to use, I'm going to use a declaration tag. Okay, so declaration tag syntax, right? So this is a declaration tag, and I'm going to define one method. Okay, so that method is int square. Okay, so I'm trying to find square of a given number. So here again I have to pass one argument. So you people are already you people are aware about method and its syntax, right? No. So what I'll do, what happened? Okay, I should return return value, no? Return. Okay, so here either you can directly find the square, or you can take third number, I mean third variable, and you can do it, right? So but in simple, I'm gonna return, okay, return square. Square in the sense given number is going to be multiplied with that. So n into n. Okay, so I saved. Okay, so now we have to print this values now. So how do we print this? So to print these values, let's take here, right? Let's take it. So I'm taking expression as a square of given number. Okay, so given number, actually I have to include this within double quotes. Square of given number. Fine, and now I'm printing that I'm calling that function. So what is function name? Square along with a value. Okay, so along with a value, so let me give 2. Fine, but still I have an error. What is this error? There is nothing, but it is showing error. So equals, and within double quotes, right? So then plus. Okay, so actually there is no errors as I aware, but it is still showing an error. What error actually it is? It says somewhere that Bryce is expected, but where? Because everything I had given now. So we have closed one, I mean opened, and here is a closed, and right. So let me try to deploy and try this. Actually, you can get value from the user and you can pass value to here. Oh, it's printing, but why it is showing this? Let me clean the project because there is no errors. So everything is fine actually. Even though after cleaning it's not going fine. So how it's working. This is through expression. Okay, so I'm printing statement along with the value. So square. So for this square, whatever the function which I define, even I'm passing value for it, right? Hope it is clear, guys. So same way, we can get it from the user, value can be received from the user and we can do that. Okay. So now I'm going to try one more. That's for finding, let's take a factorial of a given number. Okay. Factorial. So, so for this, actually, what I have mentioned directly as factorial. Let's take one HTML file. Okay, HTML file. Let's take fact. Right, fact in. So input for input purpose. As I mentioned, to get value from the user, I'm taking this. Okay. So now inside body tag, let's write your form tag, right? So form action equals to, so where we need to, redirect factorial dot JSP. Okay, so now, save. Fine, so now it's gone. Okay, so let me enter something here. Enter value. I'm just giving it as an enter value. So we can write anything, enter number to find factorial, or enter a value for, so and so variable. Okay, anything can be given. Fine. So for that, I'm gonna, pass one input tag. Just a second. One minute. Okay. Right. So here enter value with the, input tag. So input type equals to text and name. So name equals to, let's take in. Okay. So I'm taking it as an in. And now So we can generate one submit, submit button. I mean, we can create one, button. So for that, input type equals to submit. Okay, and value. Yes, so value is also equals to submit. I'll pass. Value is also equal to submit. Okay. So now let's, I know, where is that factorial? This is inside functions now, right? Right. So now we'll write simple logic for finding factorial. Okay. So obviously we have to use, declaration and expression, or can be a, scriptlet. So first we have to take, declaration tag. Right. So exclamatory mark. Okay. So here I'm going to declare required variables. Okay. So I'm trying to find, actually we can take integer or a long, or can be a double. Okay. So here I'm taking here int number, comma, result, and one string variable. Okay, string s. And I'm gonna define functions. Okay. So defining function. Okay, so how do we define function? So I'm taking return type will be, of type integer, because here I have taken int, right? Int int factorial, or I'm taking it as in fact, and right, again here int, n. So, and here please observe, I'm using conditional statement. If n is equals to 0, so if n equals to 0, return, let me use here itself, return 1. Okay, return 1. Let's go to next. In case, if else, okay, else return return what? N into fact. Again, for the recursion, I'm calling fact of n minus 1. Hope you hope it is clear, guys. So in case if it is equals, the entered number equals to 0, so it will return 1. If not, if the entered number is not equals to 0, then it goes to return, I mean else condition, and inside else, so it's, recursively that function is calling to find, right? So just to find the factorial of a given number. Okay, so now this, I hope it's clear, right? Suppose if I entered, if I entered 3, right? Assume that number equals to 3. N is equals to 3. So how factorial is, 3 into 2 into 1, right? So now when I call about, when I take it as n equals to 3, obviously, here n value is 3, right? 3 into, sorry, what is 3 into, what is the value of fact to n minus 1? So fact again, it reaches here factorial n minus 1 is again 2, right? 2. And again, of course, we'll get value as a 6 and 6 into again. So here we have one more recursion function as n value is 6, right? 6 into 1 because 2 minus 1 is 1, right? So when it finds a value again 3, it's not 3 into, so yes, 6 into. So this is how factorial will be finded. Okay, so first it will get actual value and right, so actual value minus 1, that is 2, and again one more value will be there because obviously n value 1 is not equals to 0. Again it reaches here and it calls the value. So finally the value is 6, right? So again it will check, it checks for the value. So now only once now. So right, so after completion of the task, what happens, the control comes out of the execution, right? And now what we have to do, we have to print that value, right? So we have to print that. Let me write in a proper way. Okay, so now let me remove this comment to not to get confused, right? So now I'm going to take scriptlet for printing values. So this is for printing. Let's take string variable. I'm taking that str, I mean a string variable equals to, so request dot, request dot get parameter. So get parameter. What is that parameter? I forgot here. One second. So parameter name, it is in. Okay. Let's go to this factorial. So let's take it as an in here. Okay. And now we have a variable called n, right? So n equals to n equals to, this is integer dot get, it's not get, so it's integer dot %. Okay, so %, in the sense, suppose when user enters any value as a string, so if that string holds any numeric values, in such cases we can have conversion here. Okay, so for converting string to numbers, yes, % is a method which we can use for conversion. Okay, right, so now it's done. Okay, so then where is that result? So result, result object equals to factorial of n. So we are passing number. Okay, so this is for passing value to this factorial number. Fine. And finally we can print value. So let me take h2 with the bold. Okay, and what is it? So factorial of input number. So here I'm again taking expression, so equals with the result. It's not in out, it's input number. Actually, I can return here an entered number. Okay, so now right click on this editor, not this one, sorry. What is this page name? Factorial. So let's get into this fact.in. Okay, so everything is fine. So click on next and finish. Hopefully, so it's working fine. Now let's see the logic, whether it's right or wrong. So let me enter 3. Okay, it's working fine, So factorial, of a given number 3 as yes 6. Okay, so hope it is clear with declaration, scriptlet, and expression. If you want to declare any functions or variables, you can go with the declaration tag. If you want to print some values or statements, then you can go ahead with the expression or with the uh, scriptlet tag. Hope it is clear with scriptlet or scripting elements. Any questions on this? Fine then. So the next one, we'll continue with the next topic, that is about implicit object. Okay, so that's about implicit object. So what is implicit object? Any idea about that? Okay. Let's check the chat window. Right, so no questions. Let's continue with implicit objects. So implicit objects are, the objects which are created and maintained by web container while translating code from servlets to JSP to servlet. Okay, so those implicit objects are created and maintained by the container. Okay, but the thing is, those are created while while in a translation state. Okay, so let me show you. Right. So yes, these are created by JSP engine during the translation phase, and all implicit objects are being created inside service method. Okay, and of course, we can use those, we can use these objects inside scriptlet without declaring objects. Okay, without declaring any objects, we can use those objects by default. So how is it possible? Because those are created and maintained by the container, solid container. So we have 9 types of implicit objects. So those are out, request, response, config, application, session, context, page, and exception. So these objects are from the given classes or specific interfaces. Let's where is it? So the things which is given here. So these are the classes and few interfaces. Okay, so let me explain each one. So here we have a request, as we all aware about it. So basically in servlet we used to create object by its interfaces, right? So inside service method, what we do, so inside do get or do post or inside service method, so basically we pass HTTP servlet request, and request equals to HTTP servlet response, right? So here we don't need to pass any syntax or structure like that. Okay, so it provides, JSP technology itself provides an predefined object called request. And response, same, this is from the HTTP servlet response interface. And also config object, so for any application level, sorry, not application level, any specific variables to specific servlets or specific properties, then we can use this config. And we have application, so this is same as context, the variables or if any parameters which we initialize, those parameters will be applicable or can be accessible or throughout the application. And session. So as we have learned in previous session, right, session is a kind of, session is basically used for maintaining user data, especially with a server side, right? And this object is from HTTP session interface. And page context, right? So define configuration, so which is related to the particular page, so then we can have this page context. And a page object, so this page object, yes, of course, to define or to describe any information related to a current page, so then we can use this page object. So this is from object, yes, this is from object class. So object is a supermost class in Java. Okay, so then we have exception object. So this exception object is from throwable class. So hope you guys are aware about throwable class, so which is related to the exceptions, and we can say it is a supermost class for exception classes, right? So what is the need of each object? So in simple, as as I mentioned, so out is for printing or sending some data to the browser. And request, so if we want to get request value from the user, we can use this. And if you want to send response to the any other services or maybe to the browser, okay, so we can use this response object. Config, if you want to initialize any parameter to a particular servlet, or can say a JSP page, so we can use this. And if we want to make it global, the parameters, initialized parameters can be accessed for the application, so that's possible with the application. And the session, so to track, if you want to track user data, so then we can use the session object. And page context, as I mentioned, so uh, right, so description about complete context. Okay, if it is a page, so if you want to define current page properties, or if you want to describe about current page, so then we can use this. And exceptions, so the one advantage, here in JSP, we can handle exceptions by using this exception object. Along with the exception object, actually we have its properties as an is, not this property, actually page properties, like is error and error page. Okay, we'll see that with a hands-on, so then you people will get clear. Okay, so these all are the nine implicit, nine right? So we have 9 implicit objects in JSP, so you don't need to means as a programmer, so we don't need to create objects. So we can simply get call those objects, and you can concentrate on what you wanted to do. Hope it is clear. So actually we have seen examples for request and for out object. So basically out for printing some data to the output or to the browser, and request, so request is for getting some value from the user, right? Now, so now we'll see an examples for each one. I mean each one in the sense. So for out and 1 second, right? Yes, for out and request we have already done. So now I'll continue with the other one. Okay. Which one can be taken first? Let's take it for response. So what I'll do, just a second. Okay, so now what I'll do, I'll create a new project for implicit objects. So let me write implicit object. Okay. So let's go here and get into this web content folder and create one folder. This is for the response. Okay, so what we'll do here, let me create one login form. Login form as HTML. Okay, login form. Okay, so inside this login form, so what can be, taken? Username, password with submit. So let me copy from other, just a minute. I'll just copy from the previous project. So here with the login. Yes, so I'm taking this one. Okay. So from the body part, I'm copying, and let's go to this response object with the login, form page. And right. So let's write here. So yes, I'm wrong here. Yes, I have to pass HTML. Okay. So why it is right? Okay, so this is the login page. Okay, so I've entered the username, password, and submit, right? Just a minute. So here I'm going to do few changes, few changes in the sense, nothing else, I'm just adding center just to display my login page and the center. Okay, so now in the form tag action, and yes, I can take post or method as well, but for now, so let's go here, h1 or h2. So login form or login page. Okay, and right, so here I'm going to take method. Okay, so after this method, let me create one login dot JSP. So here I'm taking login dot JSP file. I mean, one login file. Okay. So here let me import. Yes, let me add the jar file. Okay. So hope that error is gone. Not it. That is fine. So in login dot JSP, so I'm going to take scriptlet. Okay. And here in the scriptlet, so I'm requesting it as an user, sorry, string name as n I'm taking. So now it is request dot get parameter, get parameter. So what is that name, I guess it is uname. Okay, so let me check this. Okay. It's uname and PSW as a password, right? Okay, so now let's get into this, let me accept or request password as well. Okay, so request dot get parameter and here PSW. Okay, and okay, and now, so I'm going to validate. So what is that validation? If n, n dot equals, so if it is equals to ExcelR and password dot equals, password dot equals to what can be entered here? Okay, so password, I'm just giving it as a Java. Okay, and now, so I'm using response, so this response is for redirecting to another resource. Okay, so response dot so this is for, of course, we can have any method as a response. You can notify, you can send redirect. So actually I'm taking send redirect. So for send redirect, so let me take success.html. Okay, so basically, the parameter which we are passing a kind of, JSP or a kind of servlet. So I mean, here what we are passing, HTML. So this can be a JSP, HTML, or can be servlet. I'm writing here within double quotes, here can pass HTML or JSP or servlet page. Okay, it's fine. So we'll have else part. Okay, else response dot, response dot send redirect with the failure page. Okay, failure dot HTML. If we take JSP, there won't be any issues. It's not send error. It should be send redirect. Okay. So actually now we have to create one success and one, failure page. Success. Okay. Login. Success. And now you can attend. Let me mention it as a live stream, live classes. Okay, so let's take H2. I mean, I've given H1, right? H1. Okay, so this is the login message, and in case if it if it failures, so let's have one failure page. Failure. So here, in failure page, nothing. I'm gonna enter it as an login failed. Okay, so let's have H1. color, equals to red. Okay. I don't know whether we have it or not. Fine, let me pass it as normal one. That's not an issue. Okay, so now let's go to login form.html page. Okay. 1 second, because I have to check here. Actually, I have to change this file as login, right? Okay, so let me click on login, run as run on server. What is this object? Something has happened. Fine. So now what I'll just go to this login page. I'll do a few modification. Few modification in the sense I'll just add space ampersand NBSP with semicolon. So this is to give space, okay? And now from where this I got, it's not moving. So now I'll just go to this page and I'll refresh. Okay, again I have to add few more. One more. So actually without redeploying, I'm not deploying, but when I refresh, so the modifications are getting reflected, right? Previously it was not like that. So we have to redeploy compulsorily, right now. So now enter name as, okay, let me enter some value. Okay, let's click on. So what it says login failed. Why? Actually, we are not including this message in the same page. So we are redirecting and we're printing, right? So let's go back and here ExcelR and password is Java, right? So it says login successful and now we can attend live classes. So the response, it's redirecting to another page. Hope it is clear, guys. Any questions or any queries on this? In the same response, for the same response. So actually in the response object, so we have mainly three types, okay? Send error, send redirect, and send string or something. I forgot exact name, okay? So now it's about send error page. Okay. So if no questions for today, I'll wind up the session. So the rest of the objects, we'll discuss in the next session. Any questions related to this? Nothing. Fine. Thank you all.